Hi and welcome to this training today on refining the miracle question. I am John Lowson and I am a clinical hypnotherapist, supervisor, trainer and published author in all things hypnotherapy and solution focused psychotherapy. I am sure you will find this training educational, inspiring and very useful in your practice. Whether you are an experienced hypnotherapist, newly qualified or even still in training, I can promise you will look differently and with more ease as to how you ask the miracle question. You'll learn the power of the neuroscience behind the miracle question and how by just changing a word or two, the massive impact that has on your client. So sit back, enjoy, learn and be inspired. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to mark this as 1 hour towards your CPD accruement. By the end of this session, our learning objectives are for you to be able to understand the true origins and inductive development of the miracle question at Milwaukee BFTC. Explain the neuroscience behind why the miracle question works. Apply the modern, refined version of the miracle question effectively. Integrate solution-focused brief therapy principles with hypnotherapy while respecting client expertise. This training is specifically designed for qualified hypnotherapists looking to enhance their skills in solution-focused approaches. To truly appreciate the power of the miracle question, we must journey back to its origins at the Milwaukee Brief Family Therapy Center, or BFTC, in the late 1970s. The miracle question wasn't born from theory and research. Instead, it emerged from rigorous, inductive observations of what genuinely worked in live talking therapy sessions. Steve DeShazer and Sue Kim Berg founded the Brief Family Therapy Center, the BFTC. Now it is crucial to understand that the BFTC was a real outpatient mental health service, not a traditional research institution. This distinction is vital because their discoveries were forged in the crucible of real-world clinical practice, with clients seeking help for diverse and complex issues, often without extensive pre-screening. Their revolutionary approach was characterized by an inductive and pragmatic methodology. They didn't start with a preconceived theory, they observed, adapted, and refined their interventions based on what yielded positive results. The heart of the BFTC's innovative approach lay in their meticulous methodology. They used observation rooms with one-way mirrors, allowing therapists and supervisors to observe sessions in real time, fostering a shared understanding. Every session was meticulously recorded and extensively reviewed. This rigorous analysis aimed to understand the intricate dynamics of therapeutic change, not just to evaluate therapist performance. Their guiding principle was simple yet profound: what questions, statements, or behaviors by the therapist led to positive outcomes? This was a radical shift from traditional pathology-focused approaches that often centered on understanding the causes of problems. Through this rigorous observation and analysis, DeShazer and Berg made 4 game-changing insights. The problem is not always the solution, exploring why behind problems often entrench them deeper, inadvertently strengthening the client's focus on difficulties rather than solutions. Small changes lead to big changes. They witnessed that tiny shifts triggered cascades of positive change, demonstrating that profound transformation did not require monumental overhauls. A small, observable change could initiate a self-perpetuating cycle of improvement. Clients have resources. In contrast to traditional therapy, the BFTC team discovered that clients possessed far more internal resources than credited by conventional approaches, including innate strengths, coping mechanisms, and overlooked successes. Exceptions are key. Even persistent problems had times when they were less severe or entirely absent. These exceptions became invaluable clues, revealing instances when the client was already engaging in behaviors or experiencing states that aligned with their desired future. As they famously stated, the miracle question was not invented, it was discovered through careful observation of what actually worked. While inductively discovered by the inspirational duo, Shazer and Kim Berg. The miracle questions and its conceptual roots are deeply intertwined with the work of the legendary hypnotherapist, Milton Erickson. His innovative and often unconventional approach profoundly shaped the principles of solution-focused brief therapy, or SFBT. And here are 4 of the key Ericksonian principles involved. Utilization. Erickson was a master of utilization, meaning he would use whatever clients brought to the session, their language, metaphors, beliefs, even their symptoms, as a resource for change. This principle is central to the MQ, as it utilizes the client's own desired future as the therapeutic goal. Future focus: unlike psychodynamic approaches that delved into the past, Erickson consistently emphasized a future-oriented perspective, focusing on desired outcomes and possibilities. This forward-looking stance is a cornerstone of SFBT and the miracle question. Brief and goal-oriented: Erickson's work demonstrated that significant change was possible in single sessions or brief series of sessions, aligning perfectly with the brief and goal-oriented nature of SFBT and the efficient impact of the MQ. Clients as experts: Erickson held a deep respect for the client's unconscious wisdom and innate problem-solving abilities. He believed that clients held the keys to their own solutions. This client as expert perspective is paramount in SFBT, where the therapist's role is to facilitate the client's own discovery of their resources and desired future. The miracle question is an elegant, non-hypnotic adaptation of Erickson's ability to help clients imagine different realities. It harnesses the power of imagination and future pacing, echoing Erickson's genius in guiding clients towards new possibilities. The effectiveness of the miracle question isn't just anecdotal, it's deeply rooted in the intricate workings of the human brain. Understanding the neurological mechanisms in the human brain helps us fully appreciate its profound impact and utilize it with even greater precision. Dr. John Lowson, a renowned neuropsychiatrist, offers a compelling metaphor for how our brain functions. The CEO he called our prefrontal cortex. This is your brain's executive decision maker, responsible for planning, problem solving, and conscious thought. The secretary is your anterior cingulate cortex. Your brain's diligent secretary manages new or conflicting information, deciding what's important enough to pass on to the CEO. And the filter, the reticular activating system, this acts as the go-between, sifting through the vast amount of sensory information we receive every second and directing it to the appropriate parts of the brain and alerting the fire officer if danger is detected. Crucially, the miracle question gives new instructions to your brain's filter, secretary, and CEO all simultaneously. This just highlights how one simple question has the ability to recalibrate the brain's attention, detect novelty, and turn on the brain's executive functions. So let's delve deeper now into these three key brain regions. Firstly, let's take a look at the reticular activating system, or RAS as we sometimes refer to it as. This is the brain's internal filter. Located in the brainstem, the RAS regulates arousal and attentional focus, filtering over 2 million sensory inputs per second and prioritizing information based on perceived importance. When you ask the miracle question, you're essentially giving the RAS new instructions. It begins filtering the environment for solution-focused evidence, noticing instances that align with the desired future, even if previously overlooked. This is why clients often say, since we talked, I have actually noticed I have been a bit more confident in certain situations. Your filter starts looking for signs your miracle is already beginning. Next, we take a look at the anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC. Now this is our secretary or PA. The ACC also does a magnificent job in managing cognitive conflicts, attention regulation, and adapts to new or novel information, something different. It normally ignores routine, familiar information, letting predictable patterns run on autopilot. This is why chronic problems can feel so entrenched. However, the inherent novelty of imagining a different reality forces the ACC to wake up. When a client ponders on the miracle question, their brain encounters a scenario that deviates significantly from their problem-focused reality, and even if we have resistance such as, "But that is impossible," this is actually a positive sign. It shows the ACC is detecting something new. And because the miracle scenario is novel and different, the ACC flags this information as important, passing it directly to the prefrontal cortex, or the CEO, for executive decision-making. This bypasses the brain's usual problem-focused loop, and now starts sending new, novel, solution-oriented information directly to the planning center. So you can see how the miracle question creates a type of cognitive speed bump that diverts the brain's resources toward constructive future-oriented thought. Very clever, isn't it? And lastly, let's take a look at the boss, the CEO. The prefrontal cortex, or PFC. This is our brain's command center for executive planning, working memory, and goal formation. It's where we engage in complex thought, we make decisions, and plan for the future. The miracle question directly activates the PFC when clients engage with miracle visualization. And as they articulate what would be different, their PFC is stimulated to convert abstract imaginative hopes into concrete, observable objectives. Pulling on the neuroscience of the mind not being able to differentiate between imagination and reality. This mental rehearsal strengthens the neural pathways associated with achieving the desired outcome. Research consistently shows that stronger PFC activation correlates with better treatment outcomes. So your CEO actually begins strategic planning for your preferred future. The repeated engagement with the miracle question and its future-focused visualization has a profound impact on neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself. And repeated miracle visualization strengthens the solution-focused neural pathways, and this process also triggers dopamine release, enhancing motivation and hope. Ultimately, the consistent application of the miracle question reshapes those default thinking patterns from problem-focused to solution-oriented thinking patterns. The brain literally becomes rewired to seek and identify possibilities rather than dwelling on limitations. And for me, that is a real game changer in therapy. Now, while the traditional miracle question laid the groundwork, modern clinical experience and a deeper understanding of SFBT principles and how the brain works have led to significant refinements of this question over the years. Unfortunately, many training academies are stuck in the past and haven't really changed from the traditional way of asking this question, which is a shame. I also come across a lot of people that are newly qualified solution-focused hypnotherapists and they struggle or simply don't understand the miracle question. And if you are having to pay for additional workshops or training on one of the main principles of your modality, then it's a real poor reflection on your initial training. So here are some improvements that will address common client struggles, improve your confidence by simplifying the process and overall enhance the question's effectiveness for your client. Let's look at the problems with the traditional version, often phrased as, imagine you go to sleep tonight, and a miracle happens that solves all your problems. When you wake up tomorrow, what would you notice? While powerful, it presents two common challenges. Problem 1. Focus on problems, not solutions. The phrasing solves all your problems forces clients to first think about their problems to imagine them solved, inadvertently pulling them back into problem-focused thinking. A core SFBT principle is to focus on the presence of the desired outcome, not the absence of the problem. The refined MQ guides clients directly to what they want, bypassing the need to revisit their difficulties. Problem 2. Assuming sleep capability. Many clients struggle with sleep due to anxiety, bipolar disorder, or addiction. This can lead to interruptions like, I am not really sleeping these days, which breaks rapport and pulls them out of the hypothetical scenario. Assuming sleep capability creates an unrealistic scenario, reducing client connection and engagement. The hypothetical scenario needs to feel plausible for full client engagement. The modern, more refined miracle question overcomes these challenges with a more direct and client-centric approach. It is a two-step process that immediately directs the client toward their desired future. Step 1. What are your best hopes from our talking? This question gets straight to desired outcomes from the very beginning of the session. It introduces no hypothetical scenarios or preconditions, providing immediate goal clarity and allowing the client to articulate what they truly want to achieve. This sets a positive and collaborative tone. Step 2. Future-focused specificity. Suppose at some point tomorrow, you notice, their hope, is coming into your life. What is the first clue you would get that desired outcome happened? Once the client has articulated their best hopes, this second step gently guides them into visualizing the manifestation of that hope in their everyday reality. Key improvements here include anchoring the client in their reality. At some point tomorrow, this avoids any mention of sleep or grand, unrealistic miracles, making the scenario relatable and tangible. By not mentioning sleep or miracles, this eliminates the issues associated with the traditional phrasing. And with a focus on presence of the desired state, this just reinforces the SFBT principle of building what is wanted rather than eliminating what is not. And by emphasizing a small sign, this is crucial for engaging the RAS and for making the change feel achievable, bypassing the overwhelming nature of a complete transformation. Once the client has articulated their desired outcome, the art of the refined miracle question lies in the follow-up. These questions are designed to create vivid, sensory-rich details of the preferred future, further activating the brain's solution-focused pathways. Essential language that creates change. Use specific words that presuppose success and invite detailed descriptions. First, when that happens. Never use if. This language presupposes success, subtly planting the idea that the desired outcome is inevitable. Next, what will you be doing differently? This is action-oriented and invites concrete behavioral descriptions. Then, how will you know? This taps into the client's internal recognition system. What internal sensations, thoughts, or feelings will be different? Always ask, what else will be different? This helps expand awareness and encourages further detail. And finally, who will notice first? This external validation marker encourages a third-person perspective, allowing the client to imagine the ripple effect of their positive change on others. Also, ask the client to describe their life. Describe what your life will look like when desired outcome is fully present. Walk me through a typical day. Take it from the moment you wake up until you go to sleep, when this change has happened. Why this works? It creates detailed neural blueprints. The more detailed and vivid the description, the stronger the neural pathways for that desired future become. It activates multiple sensory channels, encouraging descriptions of what they will see, hear, feel, smell, and even taste. Engages a wider range of brain regions, making the experience more real. It builds a comprehensive solution-focused narrative. This helps the client construct a coherent and compelling story of their success, which becomes a guiding vision. And it engages imagination in service of change. Hypnotherapy inherently utilizes imagination. This process channels imagination constructively, preparing the brain for action. Now, for detailed follow-up questions. What is the very first small thing you would notice? This reiterates the power of small changes. Who else would notice? What would they see you doing differently? This focuses on external validation and observable behaviors. What would you be feeling differently? This explores internal sensations and emotional shifts. Again, what else? Always ask what else? To elicit further detail and explore all facets of the desired future. And, how would your day be different from start to finish? This helps create a comprehensive, day-in-the-life scenario. A common misconception is the need to create an exhaustively detailed future perfect doing scenario. While visualization is powerful, solution-focused hypnotherapy and the modern miracle question take a different, often more effective, stance. Let's compare approaches. Some hypnotherapy teachings aim for incredibly detailed, sensory-rich future perfect doing scenarios, trying to build complete mental blueprints and prescript the entire transformation. However, the pure SFBT and modern approach prioritizes directional clarity over rigid detailed pictures. It's about knowing where the client wants to go, not necessarily mapping out every single step. It focuses on first small signs rather than complete transformation, aligning with the small changes, leading to big changes insight. It trusts the client's emergent problem-solving abilities. And for me, the power of noticing versus prescribing action is a crucial distinction and a massive part of what is happening in the brain. So instead of asking, what will you do differently? Instead ask, what will you notice that is different? This ever so subtle reframe of the question is massive. Mainly it engages the RAS to filter for progress signs. By asking what will you notice, we specifically instruct the reticular activating system to actively scan the environment for evidence of the desired change. This is more effective than trying to force new doing behaviors before the brain is primed. It also amplifies existing successes, what we would call exceptions. Focusing on noticing helps clients identify and amplify their own existing strengths and moments of success, serving as a foundation for further change. It takes pressure of the client, and it requires minimal change to initiate positive cascade. Noticing something subtle is a far lower barrier to entry than enacting a complete behavioral overhaul, and this small shift can then initiate a positive feedback loop. And lastly, it reduces overwhelm and performance pressure. Noticing is a gentler, more accessible starting point that builds confidence. This approach is deeply rooted in the client as expert principle. The client defines their unique vision, not a therapist template. The therapist does not need a complete doing picture. We trust in the client's internal resources and creativity. This promotes genuine autonomy and self-discovery. The power of the miracle question is amplified when seamlessly integrated into the hypnotherapeutic process. It provides a clear, client-generated framework for hypnotic suggestions, making them more potent and personalized. The session pre-talk is where the foundation for the hypnotic work is laid using the refined miracle question. Use the two-step approach in pre-talk. What are your best hopes from our talking? Followed by, suppose at some point tomorrow, you notice your best hope coming into your life. What is the first clue you would get that your desired outcome had happened? Identify specific sensory details of desired presence. What will they see, hear, feel, or even smell when their hope is present? These details are invaluable for crafting vivid hypnotic suggestions. Note first small signs they describe. These are your key entry points for hypnotic suggestions and post-hypnotic awareness, representing achievable micro-goals. Build realistic, achievable hypnotic goals based on the client's responses, focusing on the presence of the desired state rather than the absence of the problem. During hypnosis, the language and insights gleaned from the miracle question can become the base of your hypnotic suggestions, making the trance experience deeply utilized for the client. Use their language of best hopes, weaving the client's exact words into the induction and deepening process. For example, as you relax deeper, allowing your mind to focus on your best hopes. Focus on the presence of desired states, not the absence of problems. Make sure all suggestions are framed positively, and emphasizing on what the client will experience and will do. Incorporate their first small signs as anchoring points. You can link the feeling of relaxation or the state of trance with the emergence of these first clues. Suggestion framework. Craft your suggestions using the client's language and focusing on noticing. As you notice, each time you become aware of these positive changes, your mind naturally filters for evidence that their hope is growing stronger. This also extends beyond the trance state, within post-hypnotic integration. Ensuring that the insights and shifts cultivated during hypnosis are integrated into the client's daily life. Discuss what they noticed during trance to solidify the connection. Identify the smallest possible first steps, concrete, manageable actions or shifts in awareness that align with their first small signs. Plan awareness exercises focused on noticing rather than doing. For example, this week, just notice when you experience even a tiny flicker of that confidence. Okay, so let me now illustrate the application of all this through a practical case study of one of my clients that presented with anxiety which was related to speaking in meetings and a general lack of confidence at work. I asked, "What are your best hopes from our work together?" The client replied, "To feel confident at work." I then asked, "So suppose at some point tomorrow, you notice confidence is present in your work life. What is the first small clue you would get?" The client replied, "I would make some eye contact when speaking in meetings." Now, let's look at the neurological process happening in the client's brain. The client's reticular activating system immediately begins filtering for moments of existing eye contact. Previously, their RAS might have been hyper-focused on detecting threats or signs of anxiety. Now, it's primed to notice instances where they do make eye contact, even fleetingly. The client's prefrontal cortex, or CEO, starts strategic planning for meeting participation, perhaps planning to look up more often, or making eye contact with one trusted colleague. It translates the abstract hope of confidence into a concrete, achievable behavior. The client's conflict manager, the anterior cingulate cortex, handles the shift from an anxiety-focused mindset to a confidence-presence mindset. The novelty of focusing on making eye contact, which is the client's desired behavior rather than avoiding eye contact, which was the problem, wakes up the ACC, and this prevents the brain from running on its old anxiety autopilot. And here are some examples of the hypnotic integration suggestions I used with the client in hypnosis. During the induction I added, "As you relax deeper, allowing yourself to fully embrace your best hopes for feeling confident at work." I used some visualization such as, imagine a meeting, and as you begin to speak, you naturally notice opportunities for comfortable eye contact. You observe your gaze meeting the gaze of others, and you notice a quiet sense of calm within you. I dropped an anchor in for them to anchor to the feeling. Each time you become aware of this comfortable eye contact, a wave of natural confidence flows through you, reinforcing this new pattern. I added a post-hypnotic suggestion. Each meeting, you naturally notice opportunities for comfortable eye contact, and with each observation, your confidence grows stronger and more effortless. Now this example just demonstrates how the simple yet profound questions of the modern miracle question provides all the necessary information to craft highly effective, client-centered hypnotic interventions that leverage the brain's natural mechanisms for change. Solution-focused hypnotherapy has never been. Now of course clients are not always as straightforward as that, are they? So let's address some common challenges that practitioners face when using the miracle question. What if they cannot imagine any positive change? Scale it down. What would be just 1% different? This makes the task less daunting. Or, what would others notice that is even slightly different? This externalizes the observation, reducing internal pressure. How do you handle very depressed clients? Start smaller. What would be the tiniest sign that things might be shifting? Focus on the presence of small hope, not the absence of depression. Even a flicker of possibility is a start. What about unrealistic miracle responses, like winning the lottery or magical transformations? Honor their hope, then gently redirect to observable behaviors. If that miracle happened, what would people see you doing differently day to day? Focus on the behavioral manifestations rather than the mechanism. The goal is to identify what they would be doing, thinking, or feeling, not how the miracle itself occurred. And here are a few integration tips. Always use the client's exact language. This builds rapport, shows respect, and makes suggestions more potent. Focus on noticing language in hypnotic suggestions. Reinforce the idea of becoming aware of positive changes rather than forcing them to do things differently. Trust their internal wisdom over your detailed plans. The client is the expert on their own life. Small signs often create bigger changes than grand visions. The cumulative effect of noticing and amplifying small shifts can lead to profound and lasting transformation. As we conclude, let's consolidate the essential insights and translate them into actionable steps for your practice. The miracle question emerged from careful observation, not theory. Its effectiveness is rooted in what worked in real clinical settings. Modern refinements eliminate sleep assumptions and problem focus, and the two-step approach is more direct, inclusive, and effective. Neuroscience explains effectiveness through RAS, PFC, and ACC activation. Understanding these brain systems empowers you to explain why the MQ works and use it more precisely. Noticing is more powerful than doing for sustainable change, as it engages the brain's natural filtering mechanisms and reduces overwhelm. Client expertise will always conquer detailed therapist plans. And of course, our role as solution-focused therapists is to facilitate the client's own wisdom and resources. And so now you have sat this CPD, your action steps to integrate the refined miracle question into your practice are to practice the two-step modern approach personally. Why not imagine your own best hopes and first small clues for a personal goal? This personal experience will deepen your understanding and empathy. Use with clients what are your best hopes? Instead of problem exploration. Shift your initial framing to a solution-focused orientation. Notice ongoing how your own RAS responds to solution focus. Pay attention to how your brain starts filtering for solutions in your own life and in your client's sessions. Trust your client discoveries. Continuously remind yourself that the client holds the key to their own solutions. Thank you for your time. I hope you have found the information useful and inspirational. I'm excited that you will now use this to refine the asking of the miracle question. We've produced a practitioner's handbook, based on everything we've talked about here today and much, much more. You can order either an ebook version or a printed and published version that will be delivered directly to your door. Just visit our shop by scanning the QR code on this slide, or by visiting the web address underneath it. You can find further details about our free and paid continuing professional development, CPD, sessions and workshops on our website. Just scan the QR code, or simply Google HHC Hypnotherapy Training to find us. In addition to our training programs, We also offer hypnotherapy supervision, one-to-one business coaching, peer support, a dedicated hypnotherapy community. We really hope to see you again soon. Thank you for your interest.